Good morning from the Police Superintendents Conference 2024, where I am joined by Chief Superintendent Jonathan Betts. John, thank you so much for joining Policing TV this morning.
Thanks, Bernie.
We're going to have a wander round.
Yeah.
This, as I say, is the location of the Police Superintendents Association Conference this year. We're going to have a wander around. We're going to talk about your police career.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the work you do on well-being and a couple of other matters besides. But let's
by all means.
slight adventure here in that we haven't reckoned this beforehand to work out where we're going to end up. We're going to do a walk and talk and just see. So let's start by acknowledging that you have served as a superintendent or chief superintendent for some 17 years now, I think. Is that right?
Yes, it is. Yes. December, when would it be? Yeah, December 2007. I started as a superintendent. Started my career in Greater Manchester, had an absolute blast. Lived in Cheshire. Cheshire advertised for superintendents, and I transferred across, and I've been there ever since. Uniform and CID roles. I've been a tactical firearms commander for over 17 years, public order commander, SIO. I'm just approaching my 30 years service. I've had a ball. I've done everything that policing allows you to do. It feels slightly strange to be coming to this end of
this is your
my
last
service now.
This is your last conference, then?
It is.
Well, we've come to the glamorous part of the building. But okay, so you've had a ball. You've thoroughly enjoyed your service. You are, I imagine, one of the longest-serving chief superintendents or superintendents in the country.
In both ranks in the association, I guess probably. It's they're ranks that are transited through or achieved at the end of service. But yeah, for me, it's been a place to stop, and thankfully, I think, had some impact on those around me. Well,
let's come on to the impact in a moment or two, but let's go right back to the start of your police service. What led you to join the police?
Dad was a cop. It's all I'd really known as I grew up. So he was a sergeant in Cheshire, when I said I wanted to join the police, he told me to get a proper job.
Did you really?
Went off to university, got my degree, thought I was going to join the RAF. Strategic Defence Review of '94 suggested that they weren't recruiting the same levels. So
we'll just stop here. Let's turn around this way. And so you were thinking of joining the RAF?
Yes, that's what I wanted to do.
But events suggested that you might not do that.
Yeah, so that didn't work out. So I ended up then volunteering with the Air Cadet organisation. Spent 17 years with them, working with young people. Very fantastic organisation, absolutely loved it. A lot of leadership experience there as well. I ended up, I was a commissioned officer for 17 years, retired as a wing commander. I ended up with 37 units all across Greater Manchester and Cheshire. Really proud of that time. And then our own children arrived, and life moves on, doesn't it? So focusing on them.
So that's a whistle-stop tour through your policing career, but your career hasn't just been about policing. There are elements relating to well-being that you have also a little more recently focused on, both in your personal life and in assistance to others. And indeed, my understanding is, I'm not breaking any news to you here, or any confidences, by the way, but my understanding is that you are going to be recognised for that in the gala dinner this evening. So congratulations for that. Tell us something about that well-being work, both in personal and in your wider support.
Thanks, Bern. So I'm getting the Lifetime Achievement Award, which is really, really humbling Didn't know I'd even been nominated until I got the letter a couple of months back to say that I'd got the award. So really quite taken aback. The wellbeing work is something that actually started from a real dark personal experience. So already a superintendent, I've been a superintendent, and as I said earlier on, I was absolutely thriving, flying. I was throwing myself into everything that policing had, and then 12 months after promotion to superintendent, we had our first child, and he died at 3 days old, which completely spun mine and my wife's life upside down. And the response I had from some colleagues was phenomenal, but I also recognised there is nothing. There was poor provision for my wife. There was nothing for bereaved fathers at the time. So we did a lot of work through charities, and then it just became really apparent that through policing there was a gap. So started Cheshire. It probably must have taken me 7-8 years to actually process that myself and actually realise I'd come out the other side of it. And we're inside, when you've got something like that that's happening, you try and cope, but for a significant period of time afterwards, I would literally, my safe spaces was when I was in work, and then when I was at home. I had to have my game face on for both of those, and then in between I would cry on my way to work and I'd cry on my way home, and nobody in work knew about that. I didn't feel I could tell people about that. So part of what I've tried to push is to encourage men to talk about their feelings, find that space where they can discuss and actually say, I'm not having a great day today, and that's okay. So really proud to have used the sort of leadership position to be able to promote that, and try and break that culture of people struggling in isolation. So that's part of it. I've been very focused on nurturing other leaders, other superintendents, trying to build those softer skills, give people the ability to, or support people's natural ability to work together, work effectively, have influence. Yeah, I'm reflecting on a career now that I'd sort of say quite proud of the servant leadership approach. I don't claim to have got everything right, far from it. Very, very long way from it. But when you just do your job and people put you forward for something like this, it just brings you up short, and just gave it that sort of nice, it sounded a bit trite from a couple, just that nice warm feeling to think what I've done's mattered to people, it's made a difference, and that's lovely.
It's sometimes overlooked, but police officers, police staff are human beings as
Absolutely.
well, are they not?
Absolutely.
It ought not to be a surprise that they are humans, and they suffer human frailty, and as a society we expect our police to uphold the law, protect us from harm, and so on and so forth. The police officers, police staff also need protecting and supporting.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's what you're describing there. You had that tragic personal experience. My heart goes out to you and your wife at that. You've used that, it seems, in order to produce support for others that will help them through similar trauma and difficulty and challenge, and I've no doubt that that's part of the reason, if not the whole reason, for your recognition this evening.
Thank you.
Can we just touch on also, I'm also fascinated by a couple of other aspects in your career. First of all, I want to take you back to the time of the potential Millennium Bug.
Absolutely.
Where,
I am that old.
where there is a picture of you in your uniform accompanying a certain individual. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I was very privileged. I was staff officer to Chief Superintendent in Greater Manchester, a development opportunity that I got, which was fascinating. and that was in 1999. And the scariest thing for the emergency services and all of us was our video recorders might not have worked, and as soon as it tipped over to the year 2000, that all that digital stuff was going to suddenly fail us. So there's a whole years of preparation and planning that went into it. And then Her Majesty the Queen Elizabeth, came to Greater Manchester and inspected the preparedness of the emergency services, and I had the privilege of escorting her around the Greater Manchester Police's preparations. So all the briefings and things that went into it really opened my eyes. As a young lad from Cheshire, I'm now stood next to the monarch. I'm walking past her, and I even managed to get the Chief Constable of the time in trouble. So
in what way? Go on.
So the entourage arrives prior to the Queen. So this was all very well rehearsed, and Lord Lieutenants and everybody involved in the preparations, and they'd gone from site to site to site. And the Chief Constable, myself, the Chief Superintendent, are stood to attention outside the police station, and the Chief Constable clearly had a desire to get to the toilets inside, so he ran, swept past both of us, and I'd spent hours bulling my shoes, and he went straight across my toe cap. And one of those moments where you think, oh, that's taking forever, I'm about to meet the Queen, and you've scuffed my boots. And a lady came past, and he went, did the Chief Constable scuff your shoes? I had no idea who this lady was. And I said, yes, ma'am, but don't worry about it, it's absolutely fine. He said, it's absolutely not fine. I will tell him I'm his wife. So that the picture that you've seen, which is still up in my office in Cheshire, that I posted on social media, I think for one of the Jubilee events. She's the Chief Constable and his wife are behind, and just after that photograph was taken, he leant over my shoulder. He said, I am devastated, I am so sorry. So I both got the Chief Constable in trouble, and I got an apology from the Chief, which as a young PC was phenomenal experience.
Absolutely wonderful. I'm tempted to leave things there, but I did say two things. I just want to pick up on one other aspect, which, having given us that anecdote, I just think you'd find it difficult to top. But you are, I think I'm right, a marathon runner.
Yes.
And ultra marathons as well. How did you get into that?
So that all came from again it was born out of our loss of Ewan. I find that exercise, physical activity, that's where I get my brain space. That's where I can go and I can chat with my little boy, and it's only when you get into that sort of distance running that you have the time and all the training, and that's where it took me. So that very dark experience, I climbed Kilimanjaro after in a couple of years after he passed, to raise money for the condition that he died from, which was tragically not unique enough, but fairly rare, but not rare enough in our view. And so raised over £6,000 for that small charity. And then from there, I always liked being in the outdoors. Fran, my wife, decided to join a running club. I went along shortly afterwards, and then, as these things tend to happen, I'm now the chair of the running club. I just got such a sense of personal well-being in space and camaraderie, and just meeting different people. Just that opportunity to lead in a different context was great. And those I do mountain marathons. I've done a couple of those. I love being up in the Lake District or Snowdonia. And I've done just over 2 years ago now, a 5-day ultra marathon in Kenya. None of that did I have any idea was going to be in my future, but all opportunities that came out, something really quite dark, but turn it into something positive.
And to the future, what do you think lies ahead for you after you hand in your warrant card?
Yeah, so I'm looking at setting up my own business to do the wellbeing stuff. So to continue with my running, coaching, mountain leading, getting people out getting the wellbeing benefit that I get from the outdoors, sharing that with people, giving people navigation skills to enjoy the outdoors safely. So that's what I'm going to do. And our youngest, we've got 2 girls now. Our youngest maybe won't get everything that we would want academically, so maybe that's something that I can apprentice her into as well and give her some of those wider skills. So that's it's all exciting, new opportunities coming around the corner.
Very, very best wishes to you, John, for
indeed.
that. It's been a real privilege recording this with you. Congratulations on the award that is coming to you this evening, and let me wish you well for those future challenges and adventures and support for others that lie ahead for you.
Thank you very much indeed. Great talking to you.
Chief Superintendent Jonathan Betts, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm Superintendent Mike Ankus, the Western Area Commander here in Cheshire Police, and I've worked with John for a number of years, the boss. John is one of the longest serving superintendents in the country, having been promoted in 2009. I've only been promoted myself just over 12 months, and for all of you sat there now, you'll appreciate the risks that rank involves, and the fact it requires resilience, sound judgment, professionalism, and most importantly a sense of humour at times. These are all characteristics displayed in buckets by John. Apart from his day job, he's passionate about talent spotting and has successfully mentored and supported officers through all of the ranks, something that I've personally benefited from. I've spoken to his peers and they also reflect appreciatively for his support, guidance and appropriate challenge at times. He's helped many new superintendents settle into their new role. Having spoken to a chief inspector that John has helped, she commented that he first helped me, giving up his time to coach me when I prepared for my sergeants 12 years ago. He's been my unofficial mentor ever since, and in particular over the last 2 years for the inspector's process and her current role as chief inspector, he's been absolutely invaluable. And she said that John genuinely cares about the people, and I think above all, that's something that absolutely shines through. Above all of this, John also demonstrates really strong family values. He's the first to emphasise the importance of a work-life balance, which sometimes gets overlooked. He's a proud husband and father, and this also always shines through when you speak to him. I'm absolutely delighted to have actually nominated John, and also to recognise by the Supers Association, for which he's also the chairman locally. I would also just say that he's an ambassador for all superintendents, and for that very reason, John, this is absolutely deserved. Well done, thank you.